hi to all the lovely viewers watching this program. This is your host, Sukruti Narayanan from Sydney, presenting your favorite program, Success Stories with me, Sukruti. Today, we have a very interesting guest with us. He is a leading public relations expert with huge experience, having strong presence in many countries all over the world. He travels a lot and often speaks in front of world leaders, practitioners, students, and opinion makers on the modern public relations and social media topics. He's in the board of various organizations and has been a leader in the public relations domain for over 3 decades. Pride in welcoming Mr. Maxim Behar, CEO and Chairman of the Board of M3 Communications Group to the show. Welcome to the show, Maxim. How are you doing?
Hello. Hello, Sydney. Hello, Sukruti. Hello, Australia. And hello, world, of course. So nice to be here in your show. And it's a big honor. Thank you very much for the invitation.
It is our pleasure, Maxim. And having such a busy person in the show, I would say I'll quickly jump on to my first burning question. Out of all the professions in the world, how did you choose public relations?
It came natural. When I was a teenager, something like 13, 14 years old, I was publishing a neighborhood newspaper on a typewriting machine, learned the news which I was writing, and then it came naturally. Became a journalist. Although I graduated international business in Prague, Czech Republic. But then I was a big fan of journalism, so became a journalist, became a correspondent, traveled all over the world, met a lot of people. And one day, I remember what the famous Winston Churchill said, that you can achieve a lot of things with the journalism, but you must know when to quit. So decided to quit, and I didn't know what to do. It was 1994. The public relations in Europe was not as known as in the US or in the United Kingdom. So I started my small own one-man show advertising agency, producing souvenirs and calendars and business cards. And then one day, a big American petroleum company came and they invited me for a pitch for public relations. And then I was asking, what is this? And they gave me a big book about public relations and advertising and said, this is this. And there is no other public relations company which we know in your country, so please do your best to learn the business. That's how I started. Until then, we have thousands of international awards, big office, many people, but my attitude to the business is the same. You should be very precise, very to the point, and the most important, very proactive.
I would say that has been an incredible journey, right? Starting from souvenirs, okay. So next, I would actually ask you, because you brought that topic. So how has that, evolution of PR been for the 3 decades? What are the changes that you've been observing?
It's upside down. Literally the business changed a lot. I think this is the most dynamic business in the world these days. The reason, very simple, changing the ownership of media. Imagine the world something like 15 years ago, 20 years ago. There were traditional media, TV channels like yours, newspapers, radio station, and that was all. And we had journalists, and the journalists had their press cards and their licenses, their educations, their diplomas, whatever, and that's it. So the journalists, they were the bridge, the transmission between the politicians or the business people and their readers or viewers. Today, we have 4 billion editors-in-chief and 4 billion journalists, because everyone who is on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, on WeChat, everywhere in the world has his or her own media. So this is a significant change. Number one. Number two, in the past, we had clients, and then the clients were coming to public relations companies. We are going to the media, and media was writing that we could reach the targets. So the clients of our clients, they had 2 bridges in between, public relations consultants and media. Now, media disappeared. So it's clients, PR companies who are managing their social profiles, majority of the cases, and then we talk to the clients of our clients. That means that from consultants, the public relations experts became decision makers. If we maintain a social media profile on behalf of our client, we cannot call to our client every 2 minutes to ask him or her, or to ask the corporate advisors or the CEO what to write on the social media, how to react on a negative opinion, how to solve crisis. So we are part of the decision-making process. Number 3, that profession is very different, because on that stage, the PR experts, before we were consultants, that's it. We were sitting very quietly, looking at the roof, you know, somewhere, or the ceiling, and then the client comes and says, can you please advise me how to make this article? Can you please advise me how to solve this crisis? Whatever, and then we were helping. Today, we are a mixture of publishers, editors, and reporters. And this is the PR profession. Publishers, because we own media. And this is the characteristic of a publisher. A publisher is someone who owns media. We own social media. And sometimes these social media are much more influential than any traditional media. Editors, because we take care of content. And this is crucial. We must prepare good content, well done, well edited, understandable, short, so influential. And finally, reporters, because this content should have some news. Otherwise, no one will read it. So from that perspective, we changed our profession entirely. And the profession is changing every single day. So the ones who don't understand this, I think either they are out of business already, or they will be very soon. We change every day, and we run media, which is completely different than 20 years ago. But it's a beautiful change, Sukruti, because it's so dynamic that now, these days, I have much more fun of this business than 20 years ago.
Okay, that's a very interesting perspective. And I would like to talk about the book that you authored, Maxim, because you've authored The Global PR Revolution, which is ranked by Book Authority among the top 5 new books on PR in the world. So what made you pen this book?
The necessity of expressing myself. I'm not a writer, of course, but I'm a PR expert, let's say this way. So I spent many years in the top management of ECO, which is the International Communications Consultancy Organization. And this is an Australian PR association, is a very active member of ECO as well. And this is the global PR community, the largest in the world, having something like 5,000 PR companies from all continents. And I was a treasurer, then vice president, then president. And as a president, I traveled all over the world, visiting more than 45, 47 countries. And after I finished my presidency, I said, okay, let's take the benefit of this. I went to China, I went to Brazil, I went to the United States, I went to all countries in Europe, I went to many countries in Africa. Let's see how business changed in all those countries. So that's the idea came, the Global PR Revolution, very well sold, by the way, in the Australian Amazon. But it was published by an American publishing house, All World Press. and it was distributed by Simon & Schuster, and had a huge sales in the United States, which made me very happy, because I do believe that this is really a revolution. So it's not an evolution. And the revolution is, I was mentioning before, change of ownership of media. And this is something tremendous. It never ever happened in the history. And most probably the next stage will be that this media will become a real-time media, but we can talk afterwards for the future later on. The biggest advantage, I think, of the book is that I managed to collect opinions of 100 top leaders from 65 countries all over the world. And the book, it could be good, it could be bad. I cannot judge because I wrote it. But I'm pretty sure that there is no such a book in the whole public relations history gathering 100 opinions of top PR leaders from all over the world. So you open the book, you can see the changes in Kazakhstan, you can see the changes in Botswana, you can see the changes in Sweden, in Australia, in India, in Pakistan, in Brazil, in Canada, everywhere. And it's a big, I would say, encyclopedia of the current public relations changes. And I truly believe that this book will be very actual, maybe years ahead, because a lot of people interviewed in this book, and also the interviews are not more than 10 to 15% of the book. The rest are my thoughts and visions and positions. So I think that they will be much more useful for public relations experts years ahead.
Okay, so we will repeat the name of the book one more time. That would be The Global PR Revolution. And Maxim, it would be great if you could show the cover one more time so that, yeah, audience...
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can find it very easily. Mm-hmm. And the subtitle is How Thought Leaders Succeed in the Transformed World of PR. It's very, very important how to change the leadership, how to bring new elements. And talking about books, I think I have somewhere here. Yeah, this is my next book, which was published a month ago, the morning after. It's on Amazon, of course, and this is a book very detailed, explaining my thoughts and my visions after COVID, and the way leadership is changing, the way communications are changing, the good things of the lockdowns and home office based. So this is a kind of a continuation of the global PR revolution, but the book written for maybe not more than 1 week. Just my thoughts during the pandemic.
I'm actually excited to read that one. So yeah, I'm sure I'm going to buy it from Amazon. And
thank you.
Maxim, so, having seen the PR industry like in, around the globe, right? So what do you think are the successful characteristics to be a PR?
They are the successful characteristics to be a successful, whether I don't know exactly the meaning of the word successful, because in the modern world, you could be successful today and you can fail tomorrow. And then the day after tomorrow, you can stand up again. So I would say of the good working professional PR, some of the characteristics are valid for each profession or each business in the world, like to be serious, to be precise, to do your job. This is absolutely crucial. A lot of people are asking me, what do you do that you manage to run so many communities in your business and whatever? And I say, I don't know, I just do my job. So doing your job in the proper way, seriously, precisely, I think it should be the base of each development of a serious person, even not businessman. But on the other hand, the public relations business has a couple of characteristics, and the first is to be absolutely unconditionally proactive. We must be proactive. We must feel what the client needs. We must feel how the clients of our clients or the consumers, they can react to the products or to the brand of our clients. We must take care of the brand, of our own brand first, and then the brand of our clients. But we must take care every single day. if not every single minute even. You know what is the brand? The brand is what people talk about you when you are not in the room. So you must count on this, that you're not in the room. You cannot feel or you cannot hear what people think about your brand. So you should feel it, and you should feel it every single day, making research, being on social media, listening to the opinions on social media. So it requires a lot of consistency of the public relations business in a way that you must be also every single minute prepared to react to a crisis. Remember what was happening 15 years ago. A public relations expert opens a newspaper and reads a bad story about client. Then he calls the client and says, Mr. Client, we have a crisis. We have a bad story about you written in the newspaper or in the news of the TV. And then we go to a client, we discuss, we have a coffee, then we have a lunch, and then we publish a press release. And then we make a short press conference saying that it's not true or saying that it's true, but we will correct it or this and that, whatever is the crisis, of course. So we had 12 hours to solve a crisis. Now we don't have 12 minutes even less. But it requires a very good knowledge about the products, about the media, about the environment, about the consumers, about the way social media work. Because sometimes someone puts a bad opinion about some of our clients, and then immediately people start writing, and commenting. So a good PR person should know how to react. If the client did bad or did wrong, then immediately recognize and say, yes, we did wrong. Apologize about that. We take measures. We fire the whatever person, or we will make a product recall. Right? But in order to do this, the public relations expert should be absolutely well prepared with a huge amount of knowledge. It's not like before, because indeed, before we had 12 hours. Now we don't have 12 minutes. So that means that so-called advanced preparation must be done in a perfect way. It's a huge change.
So, having mentioned about the importance of being proactive and consistent, I would like to, take you down your memory lane. So is there any, lesson that you've learned a hard way?
I cannot say hard way, because I'm learning every day. But the most important lessons I've learned from public relations business recently for the past 10 years, because I'm about 30 years there, but it's one of the most important rules of my life. And this is: the worst decision is better than no decision. So we must take decisions wherever it's needed, but immediately. But again, to take the proper decision, it requires very good knowledge and preparation in advance. But if we don't take decision, then it's a disaster. Sometimes you take a wrong decision. You can correct it in the meantime. You can correct the fault. You can adjust it. But if you don't take any decision, then for sure sometimes the decision not to talk to media is also a decision, or not to comment, or not to react, but it should be taken. So this is one of my most important lessons. And also I have in my company the so-called rule of 3S, which is the leading rule of the company for many, many, many years. And the 3S are speed, simplicity, self-confidence. Let's talk about speed. The speed of taking decision, as I mentioned, the speed of reaction, the speed of learning, the speed of communications, the speed of praising someone in the office or criticizing someone in the office, the speed of telling something important to the client. We don't have time to wait. So simplicity is very important as well, because you wake up in the morning in Australia, you look at Facebook or LinkedIn, you see 1,000 of different news. So make them simple. Make your priorities. Or you wake up and you see your agenda. Oh my gosh, I need to do today 25 things. How can I manage? No, make priority. Make them simple. And also simplicity of expression. Sometimes we go on social media and we write such a sentences in a way that we write 1,000 words, you know, and readers, they start reading, and at the end of the sentence, they forget the beginning. It's absolutely counterproductive. Make it simple. Make it not more than 15 words. Put the verb at the beginning. Delete the words which are not necessary, you know. So all those things are simplicity is also very important in our life. Otherwise, we are lost in the ocean of news and things we are going to do. And people are telling us so many things that sometimes we get confused. And number 3 is number 1, in fact, self-confidence. I don't know a person who made any success without self-confidence. A person who is thinking, no, most probably I will not succeed, most probably I will not do this. But it's also in personal life, you know. You would like to attract the attention of a beautiful lady or a man or a friend or a partner or whatever. You should be self-confident. If you fail, it's not a big problem. It's not the end of the world. Then you learn. You know what Dalai Lama says, and it's one of my best saying I have in my life. If you lose, don't lose lessons. So, you know, if you fail, it's not the end of the world, but you must be self-confident. But self-confidence very often comes with the learning, very often comes with the knowledge, and very important, self-confidence comes with the experience. And these days, you can learn very easy. You go on Google, you go on the internet, wherever you want to learn, learn it in a minute. Do it.
Okay. So when you're talking about the 3S maxim, like especially in the simplicity bit, you were mentioning about 25 different tasks a day. I know you are super busy. You've won so many laurels and awards, and you're in boards of numerous organizations. So now I'm going to go into a sneak peek of how you manage your time. How do you juggle things?
I just manage my time. You know, I just manage my time. I wake up and have a lot of those post-it, sheets of paper. Just if I show you the camera just in front of my monitor, you can see hundreds of those small sheets of paper. Write my tasks, try not to forget. And the good communications, fast internet, a good fast computer, a good mobile phone, a good tablet or whatever, laptop, give me the opportunity to be very fast and very efficient. So this is really important to have a good devices, and it will be more and more important if you want to do a lot of jobs. But I have also a rule that it's not important how much do you work. It is important how you relax. And I'm trying to do the rest of my life when I'm not in front of the computer. I'm trying to do it, just beautiful. Listen to the music, listen to rock music. And I watched last night Brit Awards, which was the day before. And I went to bed, with a so good feeling after listening to Elton John, how he was singing at Brit Awards. And then I woke up in the morning full with energy. And then you can go sport, you can make, I have a bike and I'm biking. Sometimes I jump on parachute, different things. So the way you relax is really much more important than the way you work. Because we know a lot of people, they work, 20 hours a day, and then at the end of the day, they're almost dead. Right. And that's not the case, because our job is very creative. We must be always fresh, always full with ideas. And again, to make the short answer to your question, I don't know how I manage. I'm just doing my job, nothing else. I have this job to do. I do the job.
I would say these are the words of wise, experienced people, because if you look deep into your answer, you actually are mentioning to have a work-life balance as well, because I would say getting burnt out is one of the most common things that we face of late, because we get tired very soon. And as you rightly pointed, if you don't relax, we can't think clearly, we can't do stuff. And I just love, the social media posts with you and your mom. And I should say she's also being fantastic and so active. And she's adopted.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. She's almost 90 and I love her very much. And I will go this afternoon. I'll go to visit her, so I'll tell her best regards from Australia. And thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Thank you. And talking about, now this gets me thinking, talking about your mom. So getting back to the young, the PR aspirants, right? So what is that one thing do you think, youngsters today in PR industry are missing?
I'm lecturing in many universities all over the world. And one of the most important things I tell to students or young people generally, they must start to work as soon as possible. They must start to work even when they are in the university first grade. Because these days it is possible, especially during the lockdowns. And I predict that in the future, our job will be very hybrid one. We will stay in the houses like I'm in my house at the moment, or we will go to the offices, or we can take our mobile phone and go to a Starbucks coffee shop or any other coffee shop and do the job. So if the young people, they should start working as soon as possible. They can. Because sometimes people graduate even good schools and they come to our company and they don't know anything, which is really not the best way. There is no time that the corporations will expect that you will spend months and months of learning. And now the young people, they have the opportunity to learn, to work. By the way, very important advice is that what I'm doing every day I wake up 7 o'clock in the morning, make coffee, 7:15, I read obligatory one article about public relations. After all those years in business, every single day, I find something new. So I'm a subscriber of about 10 to 15 different online newsletters. And early morning with the coffee, I just I find something interesting, I read it. And this could be done by a 7-year-old boy or girl even. It's not obligatory to be a student. If they are interested in communications or how the media are developing, or how the public relations business is growing, what are the new things. So everybody can do it. And this is something which must come from the heart. It's not that you say to your son or daughter or friend or nephew or niece, you must be a PR expert, learn PR. It's something, like to be a painter or to be an artist or to be a musician. And because it's a very creative business, we create every day. So it's you cannot say to your son, you must be a musician. How come or a singer? But someone cannot sing. And you tell him or her, you must be a singer, obligatory. Tomorrow I would like to see you singing good songs. No possible. The same with the public relations business. It must come from the heart. It must come from the mind and the pure natural interest of the people. So if you're interested in communications, and more people are interested because social media give us the opportunity to communicate very successfully.
So that gets me to another question, Maxim. So, what is the advantage that today's PR professionals have that you missed about 30 years ago?
A lot. First of all, the ability to communicate very fast.
Speed.
Speed, of course. The knowledge, 30 years ago, how come we didn't have Google? We had only internet, but not the opportunity to find interesting things, to find knowledge. We were having books, we were opening books. The books in Europe, because United States is the motherland of my business, public relations. And the book in Europe were coming 3 years after publications in the United States. And then translation into different languages. So you read a book, many years after they were published. So it was nonsense, and the business was changed at that time. So the most important is the knowledge, the access to information, and this is a driving force of our business.
Okay, so this gets me to the question, what are the three things, that you think has made you successful? I know you mentioned about the 3 yes, but are there any other 3 things, or would you still say, the 3 yes has made you who you are today?
First of all, as I said, I'm very cautious to the word successful because I don't know what is to be successful.
Okay, being you, Maxim, maybe I'll rephrase.
Okay, you do your job every day and that's it. I think that the 3 most important things to do a good PR job is that you should be innovative, bloody innovative. Every single day, you must create something new, something interesting, something which you didn't know before. So it's a creation, again, like painter. Painter wakes up and gets the colors and start painting something. So the same. Number 2, to be provocative. And you might be surprised at this, but we must be very provocative or catchy or even call it sexy to attract the human's attention. Because if you're not provocative on social media, then I don't think you will be attractive. And let's say the nature of our business these days is based on the storytelling. And storytelling is a crucial element of our business. And this story must be very provocative. Right. So the people will read it, will learn this. And number 3, to be creative. It's very, let's say it's overlapping a little bit with the innovative.
Right.
But innovation is one thing. Innovation is to do something new which nobody did before. To be creative is to get this innovation and to create it and to upgrade it and to make it much more interesting. So those 3 things are important for the public relations business, but we should add to this to work, to do your job every day, to be consistent, to understand the business, to have heart and all those things, which most probably are valid for any other business. But for me, again, the most important is to understand that you should do your job in the proper way.
Totally.
And because let me add you something. We were with you together in one of the forums in Davos, of the World Communications Forum. And I was about to make a presentation in Davos. And they announced me, I think the night before, that they changed the plan, so I should present at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I said, no worries, I will do it. So I didn't go to a dinner or didn't drink wine that night. And I sat down in front of my computer, I did the presentation. And the title of the presentation was, "The PR Expert Never Gives Up." So this is one of my beliefs as well. Don't give up. Whatever happens, if you want to do the job, don't give up. If you don't want to do the job, forget about that. Don't do the job. But if you want to do it, never give up.
I would say that is brilliant because be it any profession, right? Like I thought I'll ask you questions related to startups, but before that, you've given a prelude that not giving up, I think that is, the backbone of any business that people run, especially the startups. So on that space, Maxim, I have a question on what would be your top tips for PR startups?
And to do it every single day, hour, minute. So this is really, I'm leaving aside what we are talking to be innovative, provocative, creative, whatever. Nothing can be done without knowledge in the modern world. If you want to solve a crisis successfully, you should have a lot of knowledge. If you want to make a successful public relations campaign, you should know a lot of things. If you want your clients to be happy with you, then you should know more than them. Sometimes clients, especially these days with social media, they think they know much more than the PR agents. And even very often clients come to my office, they knock on the door and they say, "Oh, Mr. PR expert, we would like to use your services." And I say, "Excellent, please take a seat, have a coffee. What can we do?" And he said, "I need PR, but don't touch Facebook because my secretary is very good on Facebook. And also my daughter is dealing with Instagram, excellent. So do for me a PR." And then I look at the client and said, "Then you have everything, because the public relations these days are on social media." So again, for the startups, for the beginners, take all those things very seriously in a way that whatever client comes to you, because startups are small companies, but every big company before becoming big was a small. And the startups would like to become big companies one day. So they should have clients. It's a pyramid of business. It's a pyramid of business. This is the pyramid of business. Mm-hmm. And then here, you have clients. Here, you have experience, know-how. What do you think we have here? Profit. Profit. The most important word in business. This is it. Profit is here. Mm-hmm. But in order to have this profit, what you should have clients and you should have experience. And experience in the modern world, with the startups especially, comes very fast. But you must learn. There is no way that you sit down and look at the ceiling and the experience will come, in your head, and then you wake up and you go to the client. So it's not just to do your job, but to do your job in the belief that you must have enough clients, good experience in order to make profit. Because profit is important for the development of each business. But then I can add to this. There is a need of huge amount of ethics in our business and honesty. Because if you go to the shop and they sell you a kilogram of tomatoes, and then you go back home and you see that these tomatoes are not very good. And then you go back to the shop and they refund you or they don't take tomato, whatever happens, it happens between you and the shop seller. But if you are in business of public relations and you write a fake story or you publish a fake news or you lie something on behalf of your client, it can damage a lot of people. It can make a lot of people believe in something which is not true. So the huge amount of ethics and honesty in our business is a pure, absolute necessity. And when I talk about ethics, and a lot of people are asking me, okay, describe what is ethics according to you. How do you understand that one is ethical and the other is non-ethical? And then I say, we are in business, and in our business, we should do profits. If we make profits transparently, then that means we are ethical. Because we are obliged to make profits in order to pay salaries, develop business, to maintain the offices, to invest and to reinvest. If we make this transparently, and transparency is a key word in our business, because we are influential people. We influence public opinion. And if any of us even think to create a fake news, even not fake news, a fake word, then it's devastating to all our business. So if we make this profit transparently, then I think the startups will be on the very right track and will succeed very soon. And one more advice. Mm-hmm. We have clients, we have teams. And a lot of people say, clients are right. They have the right. Clients are everything, because you don't have clients, you don't have profits, you don't have money, whatever. It's not true. The team is much more important than any client. You can have hundreds of clients. If you don't have a good team, you will lose them anyway. And if you have a good team, sooner or later the clients will come. So if people know that team, ethics, transparency, the principles are much more important than any client, then they will be on the right track. And the startups very soon will become big, or big ups, let's say.
I love that term, big ups. Wow. And now, Maxim, because you mentioned about the clients, right? I have this question because, when I looked into the list of clients that you've been working with, so they include like globally renowned brands in various fields such as energy, finance, technology, property management and real estate, fast-moving consumer goods, education, art, and the list actually keeps on going, right? So how different is communication in these sectors?
Of course it differs, because different sectors or different fields of business, they require very often specific knowledge. But there are certain principles that the experts, the public relations experts, should have very good knowledge on the business of their clients. As we spoke before, they should be very well prepared. They should understand the business of the clients. But they must know it really in details, really in details. I'm trying to understand the business of some of my clients much better than they know it. So you can predict what marketing campaign to suggest to them. So these are a couple of general requirements, like we spoke, to be ethical, honest, proactive, innovative, and all those things. But in each field of activity or in each field of business, there are specifics which people must know from every single angle. Let's say we are doing very often so-called simulations with our clients. I'm trying to put them in the shoes of the media. You know that clients, especially big corporations, are very jealous to the media very often. They say, oh, media are not right, media are stupid, journalists are non-professional, they hate us, they don't like us, and this and that. And then I say, calm down, calm down. Now you have two shoes of the journalists. Put your legs in these shoes and start thinking as a journalist, because freedom of press and freedom of media is the most important freedom of all freedoms on the planet Earth. There is nothing more important than freedom of media. And it is valid for social media as well. And that's why the fight or the war against the fake news is the most important war we have in the modern times. Because this is a war. And not to mention that in Australia, especially with Facebook, you feel it very painful and very well. But to explain to the clients that freedom of press and freedom of expression of different opinion is the base of our democracy, and even it's the base of the freedom of the market where our commercial clients operate, it takes time, but it is also our public relations job, if you would like to be an influential public relations expert, if we want to be leaders on the market, then we should work with the clients. We should change clients. We must model them in a way that they think like us. And then they say, oh, Max, you're right. Freedom of press is very important because I would like to read or to listen or to view or to see or to watch the proper news about everything, politics, business, environment, and persons, show business. So the freedom of press gives the opportunity for all of us to see the truth in a completely different, many opinions, and to create our own opinion.
Okay. And Maxim, like on this note, right, I'll just, ask one last question because I know like really hard pressed like for time, and I'll take this as an opportunity for the student community now, because you actually mentioned it's very important for students to start working like while they're studying and, get experience, right? But normally what happens is, they don't know where to start, and especially they say, hey, you don't have experience and don't waste our time. It's something like usually the companies say. So how do they approach? And because again, I liked, one thing that came to my mind was never give up, like, just go and approach. But now how will you give confidence to them? And when you were a college, when you were a uni student, what did you do?
I was working, and if someone buys this the morning after, you'll see the very start. I'm starting with my first job when I was 14 years old, and I was a carpenter in a dairy factory, which now belongs to the global brand of Danone. But at that time, it was a local dairy factory. And then I spent 5 years in a machinery factory as well, working as a machinery worker, because for some reason I was making exams and they didn't take me to university. And then I went to work in a machinery factory. And then next year I was taking exams, and I was not very good student in the high school. Then in the university, then I started having very good marks because I became passionate about learning. But in the high school, I was not the best. So they didn't take me to university. So 5 years I spent there. But when I was a student already in Prague, in Czech Republic, I was working 2 jobs. I was studying in university, and I was working in a magazine as a journalist full-time. And over the weekends, I was cleaning streets, swiping streets, just to make some money and just to be together with my co-students. And I was enjoying this very much. So for students, it's important to work whatever they enjoy, and not to work obligatory something. Each fortune or each childhood or each life, is developing in a different way. But if they feel that they want to do something, let them do it. If they want to go to discos every night, okay, let them go to discos. You cannot push, especially these days. Students is 17, 18 years old, girl or boy, and they're very well educated already. They're adults, almost. But the modern way of information and the modern news coverage give the people a lot of opportunities to make their choice by themselves. But if they want to drive cars all their life, okay, they can become drivers or taxi drivers or whatever. If they want to go to discos every night, okay, they might become a very good DJs or performers or singers or whatever. But if they want to be a public relations expert, let them read and let them start to work as internships. And in my company, we have always a lot of internship students. Majority of them, they become very good experts. So they should work, nothing else, whatever they want. And now the global environment gives to each young person huge opportunities to succeed. There are millions of 20 years old billionaires in the world. High tech, bitcoins, or whatever, so many options. Let them use it, let them explore it, and they will be successful, but never give up.
I would say this has been phenomenal for me. And if I have to, like two things that come to my mind right away, like with this conversation, is worst decision is better than no decision. I've never heard this, to be honest, because, you know, people would say like think twice and, you know, a lot of things like that. But this is a completely disruptive way of looking at things. And, you know, that's been so close to my heart. Worst decision is better than no decision. And the 3 yes as well. So I see myself.
Speed, simplicity, self-confidence.
Just love it.
Let's turn it the other way. Self-confidence, and then be fast, and then be precise.
Right.
Thank you very much, Sukruti. It was a great honor to be with you. Best regards to all my Australian friends, colleagues, and I'll be very happy to come one day to beautiful Australia, to take a selfie with a kangaroo, and of course, to talk to my colleagues and friends, and why not students?
Definitely. And I must say, Maxim, like you've set the tone for our global series going forward. So we're going to do many such series on communications, on like, you know, startups, on business. And thank you so much for setting the tone for what we're doing in the global arena. And see you all next week with another great guest. So until then, it is bye from me, Sukruti.